Hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want to go.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. This weekend, Sheffield Wednesday were in action against West Brom away at the Hawthorns and came away 2-1 losers, which was all very sad for everybody, especially in the manner in which we did it. Tonight, joining me, we've got Charlie, we've got Stevie, and as a special guest star this evening, coming from his deathbed because he's all riddled with, I hope, a man flu, because if, he had a dog flu, then we'd all be in trouble. Alex Miller from the Sheffield Stars is joining us this evening. I'm looking for a brother with hella pounds. 079, baby. I'm my digits out. So good evening and welcome to the show, ladies and gents. We've got people from Mexico join us tonight. If you do want to get involved, don't forget to join in the comments. Hola, como estás to Mexico. And, you're all right. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the rest of it. Ring that bell. Chaz, how are you? You all right? How was your weekend, Dees?
Hey, it wasn't too bad. I was driving during the game. So over the course of like the last 15 minutes of the game, I went from speeding happily to speeding angrily. So anyone who drove past me during that time would have seen a range of me car emotions. It was very sad.
In my head, you had for 15 minutes, you had your head out the window like Ace Ventura at some point.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Going, oh, everyone, and then crying, like sad. The rain was coming down in the car. Got sad music playing. Got James Blunt on. It was awful.
I love the idea of going, who let the dogs out to? Hang on, I'm going to change the Spotify to we're not in love. Something like that. Something great. Or you could put a bit of Teflon Don on, like what I gave you a bit of earlier on. Stevie, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. What is that intro?
I decided that I don't know if anybody's noticed. If you listen back to like the last 4 or 5 episodes, right? I go, tonight joining me is XYZ and I drop something else new. It's a little gag I've been playing with myself, and I thought I'd try some lyrics from the 2018 hit Boasty.
It's not gone unnoticed, to be fair.
Yeah.
Nor is your playlist, your gym playlist.
The gym playlist has been doing absolute bits. Miller, Alex, how are you? How are you feeling?
It's Miller time.
It's Miller time.
I'm all right. I'm certainly not going to be able to match the energy that you've thrown up in the first 30 seconds. That was the most remarkable intro to anything I've ever heard in my life.
I tell you what.
No, I'm good. I'm steady.
Well, I had a white monster at 6 p.m. and it's just coursing through my veins as we speak. So if anybody's awake at 1 a.m., give me a shout. I'll be there for you, kids. Right then. So Sheffield Wednesday playing West Brom. We're in action away at the Hawthorns. As I said in the intro, going into the game, Stevie, how did you feel that was going to go? It was going to be a tough one, right?
Yeah, it was always going to be one of those sort of, I don't want to say measuring sticks, but it was always going to be one of those games where you sort of found out where we were. We've had disappointments of late concessions of goals or games that we should have won where we've actually drawn. And in actual fact, if we could go out and put in a performance or get something out of the West Brom game, then, it would show us where we are. And there's a lot of speculation at the moment around whether or not we're a playoff side or a mid-table or whatever that may be. So it was going to be a good test, and I was looking forward to it. I went down with Blair, managed to spend the day with Blair, which was always good to see our podcast brethren. But yeah, it was a game that I was hopeful more than expectant, and I'm sure we'll get into it. And I think over the course of the 90 minutes, we were quite unlucky.
He says unlucky, but I tell you what, we'll probably get into it.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate's the great one. Chaz, this is the starting lineup that I stole from the club off X.
Yes.
Beal, Valerie, Ihekwe, Bernard, Maxlow, Shabler, Charles, Armstrong, Gassama, Windass, and Smith. Rare start for Chalobah there. Smith starting, which is again a big turn up for the Bucks. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Lots of changes there, lots to happen, and no new defenders brought in during the window. So the defense is what it is, injury pending. So any thoughts?
Well, obviously it had been rumoured, hadn't it, that Bannon was going to be out, and I think Danny probably quite smartly had sort of not, you don't announce your best player is going to be injured to give your enemies any advantage there. But yeah, it was it's not entirely surprising, I think, given Bannon being out, but it really did. I mean, I know obviously we have since signed Rio, haven't we? But he was never, he was unlikely to be in time to play. So I think it really, unfortunately, you only need a couple of injuries to really flag up just possibly how thin our recruitment has been. So, but Smith starting, big news for fans of Michael Smith everywhere. So at least
that's your little group of people. Are you in like a group chat where you're like? Because I remember Vic and Lord Ilsbury used to do it back in the day, where they used to talk about putting duvets over their head and having torches up on their face, going, "Where the Michael Smith?" Whether actually New You fan club it was back then.
As an I'm still in the my subscription has never expired to the New You fan club, but I have taken out a new subscription to the Smith fan club as well. All welcome.
I've got to say, Charlie, so throughout January I was sort of covering the Smith to Wrexham interest, and whenever I put a story out, it was just a matter of time before there was some sort of mid-breakdown response from yourself. I always sort of look forward to that.
Thank you for toying with my emotions throughout the saddest month of the year. That was great. I was like, I hate the Welsh now, I guess. That's happened. That's a thing.
Wrexham were never asked. I was just doing it just purely to
just wind me out. I deleted my Disney Plus subscription out of anger. I was like, that's enough of that.
I love the way that you. I think personally, you deleted the Disney Plus subscription so you could make money to appear for the Michael Smith fan club.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to manage your finances in this day and age, especially when when everything's so expensive. Alex, welcome to the show. Nice to have you on proper. Normally it's like a spin-off episode or something like that. Welcome to the mayhem. We will be going to questions from the public as well. That's always a bloody nightmare, so brace yourself for that. They're already sharpening the knives now. They've seen you coming on. I was going to say stuttered start from Sheffield Wednesday. Now, we discussed on this show last few weeks that there's an element of Sheffield Wednesday starting out slow and then going at it three cockerels to the country file for the second half to absolutely knock down the door, which is why we've overturned so many deficits, right, this season. Do you feel like that's the game plan that Danny's going for?
I think in certain games, yeah. You look back at QPR, it was very similar. You're watching a side away from home getting battered in a lot of ways and not having much of the ball. But in both those games, West Brom and QPR, you look back and you go, well, for all the ball that they had in the first half and all the pretty stuff they were doing between the boxes, and how many big chances did they really have? And I think it is certainly part of the way they go about some home games. Danny's spoken a lot about a specific match plan for certain games. Excuse me. And it's about, the Michael Smith off the bench is a part of that. He wants Smith to come on and change Wednesday's direction of attack at a certain stage of the game, when people are more fatigued, when the game's a bit more broken up, whatever it might be. We've seen the number of times he's made a substitution at half time, which is something that I've not seen quite as much from other Wednesday managers in the past. So, I think there is a sense that in some away games, there is a feeling that it's sort of bunker down and crack on with 45 minutes to go.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall at half time. Like, does he just go, right, lads, here we go, get you two, move it up one? Or does he give him the hairdryer treatment that we all think he's not capable of because he's such a nice chap? You know what I mean? I kind of wonder how that goes. So as the game starts, Stevie, I think there was a big save from a corner, wasn't there? Oh, it was a big save from JB. Early doors. That was one of the first standers, the ones that make us get up off our seats that happened. And then West Brom hit the beans on toast at some point, didn't they? Did you think this is going to be a long afternoon?
It was a funny one because obviously your away days at the minute are great to sort of get involved with in terms of the atmosphere when you're there, and everybody was when you get in there, you're quite optimistic. But like we said, I wouldn't say it was a scrappy start, but it certainly felt like we were backs to the wall to an extent, and obviously we'd sit in a little bit deeper and look to play on the counter in that first half. And my overriding impression earlier on was we're just conceding too many corners. And I think if you look at the corner count over the course of the 90, I think they ended up having 12. I think it was 2 hour. Just looking now, 12 to our 2, and it just felt like they were just coming one after another, which was really frustrating and really concerning. But yeah, off the back of one of those corners early in the first half, corner came in, and their lads headed it down, and Beadles managed to get down and sort of palm it away. And then off the back of that, the second phase, he's sort of lashed it, and it's clipped the outside of the post, hasn't it? And at that point, you were sort of. It almost felt like matter of time.
Yeah, you're like, there's an element of like Middlesbrough away that first half.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like,
absolutely that, and it was anything that we can get. And then gradually, as the half went on, there were times when we were starting to hit them on the break. However, there was certainly in that sort of formative stage of the first half, the first 15, 20 minutes, it did feel at times like it was going to be a long afternoon.
Yeah, it really did. Charles Potatoes. In the next few moments, Jenny Gassama had one of the latest offside calls I think I've ever seen in my life. What's she doing?
See, this is what's so frustrating about these kind of calls is without VAR, it's always going to come down to that kind of was he or wasn't he. But it is the delay. I think like Roll said 16 seconds. Like that's quite specific, but it's still a really long time. And it was like Byers at Hillsborough where it was like, oh, it's a goal. Wait a minute, let me consult the big board. Nah, I've changed my mind. It's like there's no way you are mulling something over for 16 seconds or waiting 60 seconds to take that away. Like that is crazy. And it really does feel like, these are the decisions that are going against us. And it was a lovely, really well worked goal. It could have really changed the whole kind of changed the whole charter of how the rest of the game went. Massive decision to chalk that off. Really frustrating.
It was well offside though, wasn't he?
Not in my biased opinion, no. That's a ridiculous thing to say. No, just miles on side. Ridiculous thing to say. The thing is if other people are allowed to be offside, then why can't we? We just always seem to come the wrong side of a lot of those decisions, and it is frustrating because we'd have all been happy with a point. And so for us to potentially have then kind of perhaps after it would have been undeserving in the first half with our performance to then be able to take the lead and have that then chalked off. I mean, it's huge. It's game defining, isn't it?
It's bloody rubbish. It's rubbish. Before I come to you, Alex, I'm going to go to Stevie to go through some of the comments. Don't forget, if you do want to get involved, don't forget to get some comments in. Get your comments in for Alex. He loves being asked loads of questions. It's like his favourite thing. I tell you what he likes. He likes the profession of journalism getting mugged off as clickbait on the internet. It's one of his faves. Go on, Stevie.
We've had a few early comments this evening, starting with Ian Denham. Everyone is going on about missing out on the playoffs. We haven't got to 50 points yet. That's what we need to focus on. No one, and I mean no one, expected us to be in the playoff conversation. And obviously we're going through the West Brom sort of game at the moment. But like I said, when we sort of set off, we were talking about whether or not, in terms of the game, the West Brom game, is it going to show us where we are in terms of that fight for the top six and whether or not we can get in there. 50 points. We currently sat on 42. So. We'll see how things play out.
I don't want to interject your piece there, Steve, because I thought you're doing a great job. But there's an element of, like, if you said, and I just said it now on the Hello from the Other Side, I've just spoken to the Swansea City fan upcoming, and I said, if you asked a Nottingham Forest fan, do they fancy Champions League football? There's part of them that will be like, fucking hell, yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's all relative as to how the season's going. And because we've been knocking on the doors of the playoffs for so long, 6 months ago, I got playoffs. Crackhead. Now I'm like, I really want the playoffs. I really, you know what I mean? Are we allowed to do that yet?
I personally, and I don't know what other people think that are listening and other people on the panel think, I think there's an element of nervousness. And personally, I've got nervousness around what happens if we don't go up. in terms of the infrastructure, the coach.
The gulf is massive, and you only have to look as far as down the road to see the gulf between the Premier League and the Championship, right?
Oh, it's huge. But I just feel that like everything's moving in the right direction, and we've got a great manager. We have, and there are things that haven't happened well, and that's, you know, I saw a comment this week that sort of alluded to the fact that things that have happened behind the scenes have sort of would suggest that he's still quite inexperienced and hasn't done things in the right way necessarily. And I wouldn't disagree with that. But what I would say is, if we don't go up, what does it look like over the summer? What does it look like in terms of transfer activity? What does it look like in terms of squad overhaul? What does it look like in terms of who's going to be running the club next year and where we're going to be? And I just think, whilst ever we can keep doing that, are we going and be going in the right direction? Does that mean that we can keep doing that under the manager and the setup that we've currently got? And if we don't go up, what does that look like?
Well, we'll have some money to spend, and he's backed us before, but we're not ready for that conversation because we're not grown up enough as Sheffield Wednesday.
It's early. It's early. We've had our old friends, the Sky Blue Deck. We love a commentary fan on a Monday night. Have been on just to let us know that they thought it was a shame that we've not been on. We didn't hold on versus West Brom, and giving us a little bit of a heads up as well that Swansea's pitch is awful, by the way. And it's hard to play passing football on.
Home. Busman's holiday, that for us, that's fine.
Under normal circumstances, I would be quite concerned, but given the fact that our pitch currently looks like a potato field, I'm not overly worried.
And the fact that Jedi Kasama don't pass it anyway, what's point? Don't matter. Don't really matter, does it?
And then we've had one more comment. I'll give us one more. Craig Haywood, I must be in the minority that thought we didn't miss Bannon that much. Not saying he's not a big miss, but thought Saturday we did okay in that area.
It's an interesting one because before the game, and I tell you what, Alex, I'll bring you into this one. Playing without Bannon was something that I was intrigued to see. I wanted to see if something we can do because given Bannon's age and you know everything that we've spoken about back in the day, we need to start thinking about life after Barry Bannon, right? And we need to start working out how we're going to play without this mercurial midfielder that we've got. How do you feel we fare? Because we, when Bannon's been out, we've been gash.
Yeah, that's one way to describe it, I guess.
I'm only saying what you can't write down, mate.
I don't know, like obviously he's so talismanic and so much goes through it. And I think the first half in particular, Wednesday we're struggling to play through the lines, and that's obviously some of the in tight areas and stuff, and controlling the tempo and choosing when to go long. That's stuff that Baz is exceptionally good at and has built a career on. So I think it was apparent in a lot of ways in the first half. The second half, I thought they did all right, and they went about things in a different way. Wednesday played poorly with Bannon in the side. Do you know what I mean? I think that's worth saying. There's been some stinkers when. But no doubt.
In terms of percentages, though, Alex, like you know what I mean, percentages of us playing shit when Bannon's in and us playing shit when Bannon's not in, that they're greatly skewed, aren't they?
There's no doubt whatsoever. He's a hugely, hugely important player. I think Danny said months ago that sort of operation post Baz was something that had sort of crept into the club psyche, or was certainly there. And they were sort of starting to look at potential players, that could step into that role, because for everything that Baz does, and he's still got legs. My God, some of the was it QPR and he, that lung busting run at the end. So he's still got the legs. He's not shown any real sign of, obviously there's the injury issue at the minute, but it's no small problem. Put it that way. Missing him for one or two games, you can get around it. But it'll be interesting to see what the club can rustle up.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. Right, I've just kept an eye on time, and I know we've got a lot to get through this evening. So they scored, shit defending, and then Jenny Kasama hit one straight at the goalie. Of course he did. Right, do you know what, Charles? I'm going to come to you for Pato's shitty goal. At this point, sunroof down, system up with the top down like Blue from 2001.
I was going, bah, 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 like it was amazing. And it was, it was so fairy tale-y, wasn't it? Like, it was so great for him to come on as a sub and get like that equalising goal at the death. The one that everyone started tweeting, oh, he secured a point for the Owls. Damn them to write that before the final whistle has gone. So
I blame the local media.
Miller.
I did, you know, that like you get right excited and you just put caps lock on and just, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you press send and you go, oh, there's like 3 or 4 minutes left here. What have you done? What have you done?
I love that you've turned into Hagrid. I should not have said that.
I should not have said that. Yeah, it was low.
Yeah, it was. I think the minute I heard the word corner, from their perspective, the minute I thought set piece at the death when we've just managed to pull it back, and I think, like, I really do think a draw would have been fair at that point. Like, with our possibly controversial, you know, goal being chalked off, and it took them a while to kind of get one past us, considering that, you know, first half, blah 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 blah. It did feel cruel, but it is worth pointing out that it is almost identical to what we did to them at home. They had barely finished, because that's still like one of my, I think that's possibly like one of my favourite games that we've even had this season, just because of the madness of it. But they had barely finished sitting down celebrating their equaliser that we went and got like the winning goal. So
yeah, the irony wasn't wasted on me on that one.
Karma
to be fair.
has come back to get us. But
so there we are. We're thinking we're going to take 3 points. Well into injury time. I shouted up the shagging Wendy's across Battersea Power Station where I'm working right now, and it's quite posh there. Didn't realise they've never met people like me before. I'll tell you all about that later on. And then Stevie, I've got to give it to John on this one. Around what would have been the 99th minute, 100th minute, a couple of minutes after the game's finished, John sent us a message to us saying that set piece coach is stealing a fucking living, which I thought was an absolute beauty, and the simplicity of just summing it up was absolutely outstanding for me. Andy Parslow, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sorry, Alex, I'm going to get you in trouble here, aren't I? At some point, my entire raison d'être tonight is to get you a disciplinary at some point.
It was frustrating. It was frustrating. And again, the number of goals that we've conceded, and I take the point that, you know, what's a set piece coach doing? But it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we seem to have dealt with balls being pumped into the box for almost 90 minutes. And I have to be honest with you, I felt, even around the equaliser, that, you know what, we actually haven't defended set pieces that poorly today. And then it just so happened that in the 98th minute, that big shithouse of theirs decided that he was going to come up and backheel it into the net, and he'd caused absolute aggro all afternoon. Certainly in the second half of the Wednesday nights. Malumbi, and I've been absolutely rinsed by West Brom, fans for the last 48 hours that have just said.
Did you get the obligatory shit flinging and then blocked after a couple of days?
Yes, 100%. And all I said, I put a tweet out to the effect that he's not a very classy guy, and it was nothing to do with the game. It was nothing to do with the banter. We all do it. Pato's a great one for that, isn't he? It was just the fact that around the goal that was disallowed, he ended up getting involved with Shea Charles, and then they've equalised, and he's come running at us, and he's bang in front of our lot, and he's giving it that one, and he's goading. There's a difference between banter and goading, and he goaded, and then he went again at full time, and I just thought that was a bit classless, to be honest with you, and that's what caused a melee that ended up with like getting sent off.
I mean, he did forearm smash him, didn't he? You know what I mean? Alex, had you already picked your notes up at this point? Were you going home and then gone, what's happening there?
Yeah, I was writing up a little thing, and then
you were deleting your Pato headline, weren't you? You were just sat there arbitrarily pressing the backspace key.
No comment. But you just hear the crowd going mad, and then I sort of looked up and, what's going on? And the moment, you know, on the clip that's been going around, the moment I looked up was Malumbi running away from the melee, and then this forearm going in, and Malumbi just sprinting down the tunnel with Sal Bibbo trying to catch up with him.
Yeah.
And having been stood next to Sal Bibbo, I think there's only one winner in that one if he did catch him. So
when's the aggro?
It was Windass. It was Windass that went over. Malumbi's come at full time, and everybody's gone round, and dejected players are shaking each other's hands, but Malumbi's giving it that one. And I just thought it was quite disrespectful, as I've said, and Windass has caught wind of it and gone over to say something, and that's caused 2 or 3 other lads to go in. And then whilst everybody else is kicking off, Malumbi's doing pirouettes around the outside of it, like Scrappy-Doo, like Charlie would if you were moving on that Norwich celebration, giving it all of that. And then he just disappeared. And that was it.
I love the idea of flicking the V's going, bye! Just starting absolute World War III. And I can imagine Josh Windass as well walking up to going, hey, you, I know you're excited. It might be worth doing it elsewhere on the field. And him going, do you know what? That's a jolly good point. Well done, you. I'm sorry. Everything got carried away with me there.
Please make that your new Josh Windass.
We've got a Windass voice.
That's my Windass voice. That's my Windass voice. Okay.
What was funny in the post match is one of the West Brom journalists asked Mowbray about it, and he sort of paused for a long time and went, what do you make of Jason Malumbi at full time? And Mowbray just paused for what felt like about 4 minutes, and then went, quite an emotional lad, isn't he?
I tell you what, listen, I've got to mention it's nice to see Tony Mowbray back after his illness, and he does look like, for those who remember the comic Viz, I know it's still going, but he does look like Meddlesome Ratbag from Viz. Have a look at it; it's quite fun. Okay, so listen, as we came out 2-1 losers, we moved further away from playoffs, still mid-table, still in sniffing distance. We've got a game against Swansea City coming up next week, a fixture that we've only won once in the last 41 years. So that's nice, isn't it? They're going to come for their obligatory point or 3 from Sheffield Wednesday when we go down there next week in order to try and gain ground on the playoffs. Now, Alex, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to put you right on the spot here, pal. Sorry, mate. There was Club 1867 effectively disbanded, but not officially, as it were. I know Rob and Jim aired their views on X last week, but while we were recording last week, Club 1867 News mentioned that a buyer was found and not a lot was said about it. Now, I don't know 100% if it was the same buyer that he was talking about to the one that was announced in the week, which can only be described as that fuckhead what had Wigan for a bit. Where are we? How much can you tell us about it? I don't want to put you too much on the spot, so I appreciate you've got journalistic integrity in order to maintain. Yeah,
I'm working on it, and been speaking to a few people around it. To be honest, I'm still sort of digging down on what I'm comfortable are the facts, and there's still a lot of people that I want to speak to about it. But the suggestion is that they are in some way interested, that they're having a look. I can't remember the details of the story that Nico put out, but whether he'd be involved, Talal, is something that I'm trying to sort of ascertain. But yeah, watch this space. I think we'll be probably in a position to run something hopefully by the end of the week. But
because I obviously you've got journalistic integrity where you have to offer the right to reply. I know you guys get a lot of flack online of like, why do you brought bloody news and all the rest of it with people who just want you to make stuff up for clicks. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Sheffield SWFC Media. But there's an element of you want to make sure all the facts, because in this digital world, ladies and gents, what happens is somebody can just lie on the internet, and then people will start doing articles based on that lie. And then as long as they quote the geezer who's put the tweet in, that makes it okay. But we're in a quite fortunate position that Joe and Alex, what they've done and done for a number of years, is that they'll make sure that there's been some background into looking into whether it's legitimate or not. Am I right in saying that, or do you just want to make something up for clicks?
I'd hope so. The feelings crossed my mind once or twice when you look at your web figures in some of those really cold Januaries when nothing's happening at all, and you're going,
yeah. I know you've written out Dan Fudge does a Richard Gere every now and again, and thought, yeah, I'll put that out. That'll do.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in this case, I'm not sure anyone's lied. It's just. In fact, I'm more or less convinced that no one's lied. It's sort of just the, nailing down the nitty gritty details, and it's very, very, local. Well, journalists in general, have been stung pretty hard with takeover stories in the past. You know, you look at Derby and Eric Alonso, all sorts of, so it's not fun. I'd rather be talking about, some signing or someone kicking a ball into a goal. But yeah, we'll do as much as we can. We'll talk to as many people as we can, and when we're ready to run something, we'll see. But I really don't have that much detail at the minute. Is the long and short of it.
Is the official line. Okay, you did mention talking about signings and talking about goals. That's a hell of a segue, that, Alex. But in the meantime, let's keep the sponsors happy, shall we? And we're back. Charlie, we signed somebody. How's that feeling for you? I know you love him already.
Yes, I do. It's great. And it was, I think it was the manner in which it happened as well, as it was like, we knew that it was probably going to happen, but because it wasn't happening like necessarily like within the window, like within the like when the clock was ticking down over that week, it was still like a nice surprise when it was kind of announced. And just smiley. Do you know he's got a cute dog as well? He's got a little dog and it wears a coat. Oh yeah, I got accused though of being fickle with my emotions on Twitter. I'm not naming names, but someone was like, "Oh, chopping and changing who you like." I have the capacity to love many players at once. I just like, it does not make me love Michael any less. I just need to make that really clear. Damn it! Every time.
So Matt Strickland there's just put a great comment on there saying the haircut in Sheffield convinced us all, and it did, right? So Rio Hatsusa, is that, Alex? Back me up.
Oh, don't ask me.
All right,
I think it's quite a Hatsusa. You've got to say it quickly in a certain way. On the haircut thing, by the way, I got a DM from someone sending me that saying, "Bit slow on this one, Al. Assume it's done." I didn't even reply. I sent it to Joe. I was like, "Man had haircut in place he was last week." Like, we can't really run with that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And the transfer took that long. By the time we announced him, he was in need of another haircut, which I really enjoyed. But yes, we've signed. I want to say left back. I don't really know much about him. I know that we've gained a lot more fans from East Asia. So welcome to the party, pal. My accent is available on Fudge Facts. Get involved. So listen, we've got a new player. Don't know what's happening. Don't know much about him. Could be fun. Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit. But let's move on. Stevie, let's talk about some comments while I think of what to talk about next.
Can I just mention the Insta post, the Hatsuse?
Absolutely, yes.
Iniesta. I don't know if anybody else saw this, but
tell us about that.
If we do the 6 degrees of separation, we're linked to the best midfielder in Barcelona's history, pretty much. So obviously they played together in Japan when Iniesta went over there, and obviously he's put up the Insta post of him signing with Roll, I think it was, over his shoulder, and Iniesta shared it to his Insta story and wished him good luck playing for Sheffield Wednesday, which, like I said, it's tantamount to 2025's version of Semedo being Cristiano Ronaldo's best mate, isn't it?
Oh my God, we're going down that route again. So in some Sheffield Wednesday fans' head, Iniesta and Ronaldo are both coming to do one final year alongside Jamie Vardy before they finally hang up their boots.
And Ben Marshall.
And Ben Marshall, who still having his medical like the Patrick Kluivert and all the other jokes involved. So Ryo Hatsusa has signed for Sheffield Wednesday. What are the interwebs saying, Stevie?
So we've got Craig Hayward, who's speculating that having signed a left-sided player, that he may be a replacement for Marvin Johnson. It remains to be seen whether or not that's going to be the case. Going back to an earlier sort of conversation we were having, Matthew Talbot's been on around Danny Rule. Danny Rule will leave at the end of the season. We all know that. My only concern is that all the hard work will be undone, and who will replace him. We are overachieving with a mediocre team, and if we really want playoffs over the next 2 games, and must win. And on that, it's a conversation that I was having in the car with Blair on the way down, and it's a valid point. I'd question whether or not it's important to talk about must-win games versus do we just need to get to the end of the season with a points target. on the board in mind. And if we can get to, let's say the magic number is 68 points, because I think it's a little bit lower this year. It's probably going to be a little bit lower, given that the 4 teams at the top seem to be running away and sort of they're taking points off everybody else. Everybody's sort of beating each other, aren't they? If we lose to Swansea on Wednesday night, or we don't pick up points against Coventry, does that mean that we're out of the playoffs? I'm not sure that it does, given the fact that teams are beating each other. And as long as we get to that 68 within the next however many games that we've got, is that where we're going to be?
Can I just touch on that as well? This might be controversial. I don't think we are overachieving. I think, if anything, I think there's only been a few games where it's been like, how the hell did we win that? Or, oh my God, that was such a shock. Like there's been a lot of points dropped that I think we should have got. If anything, I think we're still, I guess, compared to last season, we're doing far better than we might have predicted. But I wouldn't necessarily think we're overachieving. I think we're right where we deserve to be for how we've played, if that makes sense. I think if you think about like the Luton game and things like that, not so much must-win games like from a points perspective or anything like that, but like should-win games on paper and things like that. I think, but then, we then beat West Brom at home and stuff like that. I think it's evened out. I know what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, and therefore we should be in the playoffs and we're letting ourselves down. I don't mean it like that as such, but I don't think it's. I think 11's about right. I think that's how we've played. We're not. Right. We're not coasting. We're not coasting like a top 6 team. We're not kind of well in the mix and winning the majority of games. But at the same time, I wouldn't say we're having a rough season either. I think we're where we deserve to be. And I'm delirious, frankly, with 11th. 11th.
Yeah.
A 1 at the front instead of a 2. That's crazy.
And we as it stands tonight, given everything that you've just said there and everything that we felt after the late concession of the goal on Saturday, looking at the league, we're still 3 points off playoffs.
Yeah.
Even
with the last few slightly ropey results, we've not suddenly discounted ourselves massively, and it's great to have something to achieve for, because if you're really mid-table, you're not going to go down, not going to go up, it does feel a bit of a lull, and we actually still have the potential to do something. But I think it's unfair to suggest that we're a weaker team who's somehow got some lucky breaks. I think if anything, we're better sometimes in how we play. I think we have let things slip, and I think perhaps sometimes we've been unlucky with a couple of decisions gone against us and things like that, like the other Luton game and the QPR game and things like that. But overall, I think we're doing what we're going to do, and I think injuries is what really is going to cost us. I think ultimately, I think that lack of depth in the squad, and that where other teams have gone, well, we've got money, we've thrown money at stuff, we've backed things up. That's going to ultimately be the difference between the top 6. It's not even all going to come down to those nitty gritty results. It's going to be who's got, it's pay to play at this point, isn't it? Really, I think certainly for the top 4, I think it's going to be.
Your optimism just makes me really happy, Chance. I'm just sat in Agri.
Is it optimism?
Let's just smash everybody. We're going to win the league, Premier League Wendy's in the next year. But I enjoy it. I don't know if we are punching above our weight, and I don't know if we're underperforming, but so it's a good chat to have. Stevie, what else we got? Have you got any more comments?
Yeah. Again, without wanting to put him on the spot, I've got a question for Alex.
Alex, they're all sharpening the knives. This is like a mini fans forum where everybody out there is going, I'm going to ask this, I'm going to ask that. And you're going to have to sit there, do the Chancery voice and go, I'm not answering that, bollocks. What's the matter with you? Give it.
It's a great opportunity for Alex to be his ever diplomatic self. Nick, SWFC has been on. Can you ask him if he's heard anything else on Baz or Bernard? It's been in the comments for about 10-15 minutes now. Apologies, only just been asked. If it's only already been asked, does Alex think we need to look to the free market to get some CB cover, centre-back cover that we desperately need?
I tell you what, Alex, my next question was going to be talking about the article that you did today about why we didn't get a centre-back. So if you want to wind that in answer to this question, that would be a lovely segue. Clip that.
Lovely. In terms of the injuries, it's sort of as was from the post-match. So I know there's been some timescales banded about on Baz. I don't think anyone's really 100% sure. It could go one way or the other. There's some stuff that they're considering, and there's consultation sort of ongoing. With Dish, Danny said as much, didn't he? It's a bad one. And put it this way, I've certainly not heard anything to suggest that that's not still the case. So I wouldn't be expecting to see him for a while.
It was so innocuous as well, wasn't it?
Well, it was. You know what? That corner, because the press box at the Hawthorns it's right at one end, so we were in that corner.
Yeah.
And the before he went off and come back on, straight away, it just looked. You're close enough to see his face, and you're thinking, that's not a good one. I thought it was his quad at first, and with that, even if it's a tear, but it sounds like it's a knee issue, and of all the things that could have happened, a defender going down injured, the game after the transfer window is closed. Yeah, I mean, pretty miserable. I said a number of times, in our wrap-ups, I think Danny made clear throughout the transfer window that he only wanted to sign players. When he said impact players, I think a lot of people sort of read that as like an exciting attacking player. But I think what he meant was players that are going to make an impact on the starting lineup. I gather that they were a long way down the road on a permanent transfer signing from the Championship, and then that got pulled on deadline day by the selling club. There was interest in a Premier League loanee, I think, another centre half, and that didn't happen for a couple of reasons. So it's not like they were just sort of sat there, and there were other options available that they could have pursued, but because Danny has this policy of, he only wants a starter or someone that's certainly going to challenge quite heavily for those starting spots, they weren't pursued.
Well, he's right though, Alex. Right, we don't want to be getting in a squad player in January to carry us through to the end of the season. We want somebody who's going to come in and kick some beans, right?
Yeah, ideally. And going into deadline day with two plates spinning, you're probably confident that you're not going to have to do that. But in our sort of wrap up to the January window, I sort of argued that you don't want to do that, but you're sort of looking at like a Christian Pedersen situation where
that poor bastard. Is he all right? Has anybody checked up on him? Has anybody just, you know what I mean?
He's back at SWAT. I'll see him on Wednesday.
He's playing Wednesday night. He's going to score the 89th minute winner on Wednesday night.
If he's playing Wednesday night, I'll see you there.
But yeah, my argument was that, with that position, with Akin and Dom being out for the next 6 weeks, or I think there was an argument there to get a body in, get someone who's not necessarily going to play ahead of Dish and Icky, because of suspensions, injuries, and so it's happened. So we gather that the squad list there's a couple of spaces left on there. I've no idea how, that obviously with the injured players they don't have to be added till later. Right. I don't know if there are other players. We saw last year. Well, it was Gregors and Hendrick were left off until the March deadline. So whether that's the case, I wouldn't like to speculate. I don't know. That's not me sort of hinting at something. But we'll see. I think in terms of how that's done. So it does leave open the option for free agents. Who's available, who's fit and raring to go, I don't know. But
you'd surmise that there's players that he'll use for Mayro because he's probably the longest serving or the longest injured player that we've got, and we know that he's coming back. But if there's a bit of business that can be done that can bolster the back line, then it means that one of those players, again, I'm using Mayro as an example, not saying him.
Hang on. Let me get you out of the hole here, Stevie. Give me a second. Alex, this is your get out of jail free card. Are you ready? The rumour mill. That's podcast speak for allegedly.
Allegedly. These players have been left off in the event that we can find a free agent that's going to come in and maybe get up to speed as quickly and improve or be there before we get somebody back before the end of the season. You're putting two and two together and, reading between the lines sort of thing.
Was there a question in there? Sorry.
No, I'm saying, is that the viewpoint that people have in the sense that the reason that that we've not put the
It's
25-man squad in.
It's sort of what Danny hinted at. In that there's some players that aren't ready to play. That was, and they can be added down the line. I mean, the issue would be obviously, I think they were looking at maybe getting Dominac into a behind closed doors friendly in the March international break.
Yeah, that was my question, because Dom and Firmino, we've had a torrid time at centre backs. It's like we're trying to win every game 5-4 like Kevin Keegan in the 90s, and we're leaving them exposed to the big shit kickers at the back. But what do I know? But are they genuinely that far away now? Are they a good 5-6 weeks away?
Yeah, that's look, Danny, as he often does, sort of left that window open, and you do wonder if one could maybe be rushed back. But these are serious injuries. It's not asking someone to play, maybe with a wrapped up swollen ankle. Do you know what I mean? These are serious injuries.
Give him the injections. We've all played footy manager. Give him the injections.
And that sort of return date of playing a friendly in the middle of March, you're sort of looking at it going, well, they're probably another 90 minutes on from that. Mm-hmm. You're looking probably 2-3 weeks after, So, yeah, they're looking like, and you just wonder if Kevin Beadle and the boys have been ringing around some weird and wonderful places for some free agents last couple of days.
I think we said this in the summer as well with like transfer windows, is you do have to, if you have the means to, cast a wide net, because I do understand where Danny's coming from about like, don't fix what ain't broke, kind of only getting people in that you think are going to kick on, which is absolutely fine until you get situations like this. And I suppose like last January window, it was about like quality over quantity. We only got a few in, but they were such like key players and really kind of supported us where we needed. But I don't know. I just think like, because not only, I know it sounds a bit awful, but you're so unlikely to sign, even out of like 3 or 4 signings, that all of them are going to be golden as well. So I feel like the more players you sign, if some of them are shit, it's less of a problem. Like look at them across the city, right? Like they've signed 1,000 players, right? And not all of them are going to be that good. But isn't that kind of the point? It's like that you sign a big load and then you've kind of got backup there. I don't know. Like I do worry perhaps a little bit that we should have. But then I guess if we've been pipped to the post for certain things or things have fallen through, perhaps it's not that we've not been looking. But it did kind of feel like that sort of cruel irony of like, well, we've probably strengthened in most of the key areas. Bam, 2 huge injuries to 2 massive key players. It's like, right, on top of the injuries we already had. It's, I don't know, just feels like it's left us a bit short. It's tricky.
I was enjoying the free-flowing conversation there. It was nice to watch you all chat away without me going, yes, I'm going to interject and move it on for time. This is like free time now. You know what I mean? This is like playtime. Does anybody else want to put Alex on the spot with a difficult question? Get them all in. He's all ears. He's all ear. That was a great comment you just put up there, Stevie, actually, in reference to the free agents.
I'll get it back up. There you go.
Are they up to match fitness? I mean, Stevie, have you had any elongated periods of time out? You've come back and been gash?
Yeah.
Can I say gash on the internet? Hang on. I need a quick woke check.
A bit earlier.
Charlie, am I allowed to? Am I allowed to say that?
I'll allow it. You said fuckhead earlier as well, so I think gash is the least.
All right. if I wanted to keep it like 15, like a 15 video, can I say gash and fuckhead?
Yes.
No.
All right.
You can't say fuckhead. That's 18.
Just gash. All right. Stevie, get me out of this hole. Not
oh my God. What are you doing, man?
Cancelled.
I cannot resist a shit gag. Go on.
We've had a comment from Nick SWFC that's just popped up. Do you know the identity of the championship player we were in for on deadline day? Did you say permanent, which would suggest DC was willing to spend on a fee? I'd like to interject and just say before I go any further that I put that comment up without reading it just to get Dan out of a hole. So I'd like to apologise for putting people on the spot.
Oh my gosh. Alex, talk about that. Give us names, Alex. Is there anybody you can tell us about where we're kind of like,
No,
we don't know.
Without being really clandestine, it's I do know who it is. It's something that they might revisit in the summer. So yeah, I'm keeping my powder dry.
Some hope to cling on to. Oh, lovely hope.
I tell you what, Alex, if we sign this geezer in the summer, I'm going to send you the rumour mill video, and then I just want you to tweet that. You know what I mean? Just go. There you are. That's who it was. Lubosh. You know what I mean? Just drop it in there. I'm out. We've done all the noise. I mean, does anybody? I mean, Chaz, do you have any concerns about a takeover? Is there an element? I thought we'd get longer out of that, if I'm honest. But do you feel like there is an element of better the devil you know with our supreme leader in charge that we've got?
A little bit. I think it's not. I'm trying to be really diplomatic on this. It's not that I'm like, everything's fine. We don't ever have any problems or crazy things happen. But if there's then a rumor about someone else that's got, like, if put it this way, imagine if like Chansiri had left Sheffield Wednesday and another club was saying, oh, we've got a rumor that Chansiri is going to take over our club. Imagine what all our comments would be saying. Oh my God, you don't want that. Didn't you hear about all the stuff you did at Sheffield Wednesday? So I just feel like potentially the idea of someone coming with the stink of issues. I don't know. It's what you'd want is someone to come in either who it's like, oh, has had previous experience and it has been okay, average to middling or really good, or maybe like, I don't know, a blank slate, like someone that's got the money that perhaps would funnel it into getting a bunch of directors in and kind of doing it that way. To me, I don't really know why you would jump ship to something that could
it's
be
already
as,
a proven
as
shit
bad,
track
if not worse.
record
Yeah,
as well.
it just, there is an element of the better the devil you know as well, because it's, you know, I don't know, you already know the faults and the problems and the issues. It could be worse. Like, I'm not saying it's good, but it could be worse. And I think someone coming in where it's like, hey, let's get a different possibly crooked person in charge. It's like, I don't really feel like I'm going to get super
I tell you what, listen,
hyped about that. Really,
get the rumor mill up. Get the rumor
Rumor
mill
mill,
up.
quick.
Hang on,
Rumor mill.
I'm gonna be measured.
Gonna
I'm
get
gonna
cancelled.
add balance, right? If you listen to the Sam Hutchinson interview, he did say that he does want the best for the team.
Yeah.
And I feel like the issues that the Sheffield Wednesday fans have, Matt's written it there, and the issues that the Sheffield Wednesday fans have are on his personality. I think
absolutely.
a
And
lot
I
of
don't.
it. And
We've heard that
hang
before
on,
about that.
hang on, Chaz. I just need to. I need to make very sure that I say that's the views of the Wednesday week and not Alex of the Sheffield Star, because I feel like talking about this type of thing might put him in a bit of a situation. Sorry, Alex. Sorry. Carry on.
Look, not at all. You know, it's you know, we've had to be the ones spending half our lives talking about the trials and tribulations and the weight of failure and chaos and all the rest of it. So yeah, I don't think.
I mean,
we certainly wouldn't use the word crooked, Charlie. But hang
on, quick. Let me find the bloody video. Quick, hang on. We'll clip that crooked.
The rumor mill.
But the I mean,
I said fuckhead earlier on, and that's not the worst thing said tonight.
It's not defaming. It's they're coming after you. Yeah. So look, you know, we're well aware of it, and you know, if anyone reads our stuff, we've got our own opinions on where things are at in terms of this. You know, the spate of reports, and as I said, there's conversations going. So I'm not. There's not a great deal I can say. You know, with huge confidence. What I will say is I don't think they're going to be the next owners of Sheffield Wednesday at this stage. And I think the guys that have been liaising with them, you know, the guys from the 1867 and have more or less said as much themselves. So
they've not thrown their weight behind him, have they? The guys have actually gone, well, we found a buyer. Albeit not the one any of us wanted, but there is one available. You know what I mean? There is an element of that, right? There is a point of that. But coming away from that, Alex, because I appreciate we're putting you in career suicide in some kind of pit here right now, and you're doing really well. And I'm gonna say it, farting around the poo Fair play. How long was that?
That needs a jingle. That needs a jingle in itself.
55 minutes in, and that's the first one I've dropped. Stevie, I saw you start a comment earlier on in reference to Schneck.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Craig Haywood would like to know, Alex, the best away ground for food and which is the worst?
You see, this is the stuff. This is the stuff.
Quality content right here.
Best away ground. Ooh, the best I've ever had was Brighton in the FA Cup. That was a Madras, and we'd gone down on the Friday night, and it was my first away trip as part of the media pack, and they may have got me a little bit drunk on the Friday night, so I was tender, and a Madras.
You went to Popwell, didn't you?
We didn't. We went to an indie bar called... it was uphill somewhere. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know the one. On the way down from the train station. Yeah. I know your game.
So that was my favourite. Hull in the Championship. Hull's very good.
Hull seems to get a decent run out, doesn't it, when talking about fish and chips? However, if you have followed Alex's colleague in Joe Cran, who also talks about Joe Scran, Joey Jojo, Junior Shabadoo, Crandabidosi, Nelson Crandella, he's been talking about food the entire time he was living in this country. So I don't know where you've been. Weird ass question. What else we got?
Let's come back. Don't dare say Brighton's Madras eclipses of Beristani.
Well, but I've used, but as you can see, I'm a man of a certain stature, shall we say? So I've always used Beres not as a pre-match meal. That's very much my half-time sort of stock up. So yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming from.
I did really well, regressing a smutty remark there. Stevie, let's wind this down with a few more comments, a few more quick-fire questions for Alex, because I'm completely out. I thought we'd be talking about the chairman phrase, and I thought Alex would give us a really succinct answer and just, name a load of names and stuff like that, but he's done really well.
You'll have to buy a copy of the Star, everyone.
God.
There you go.
Nice.
I'm giving you one.
Get it in.
We're almost at the end of the questions. To be fair, there's just
come on. What we got
from Neon Brown? And it's
all right, check us out, Alex. Sing us out. Play me out, Charlie.
One late question for Mr. Miller: was Wile E. Coyote consistently sold defective products by the Acme Corporation, and if so, was a legally actionable consumer rights violation?
Yeah, why not?
I don't want to treat
this chaos, mate.
I don't want to treat this nonsense with some kudos, but there was a movie called Wile E. Coyote versus Acme that was shot, filmed, and made within the last 5 years, and Warner Brothers wrote it off as a tax fiddle in order to keep the rights to those characters. So yes, it was legally actionable, and if you Google Wile E. Coyote versus Acme, it's a thing. Listen, yeah. Knowledge for you. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys have been amazing, and thank you for staying involved. Thank you for the feedback that we had for the Sam Hutchinson interview as well. Alex, thank you for giving it a mention on your socials as well. This is normally the point where I'd say to you, where can we get hold of you? But we all follow you anyway, physically and metaphorically. So that's nice, isn't it? Thanks a lot to you guys. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.